Hey, this is Tim here with Expert Power Wash. Just finished up this 8-foot skid here behind me. Let's give you a quick tour and I'll show you everything that's on this skid. Take a look. All right, here it is. This is an 8-foot skid. This fits in the bed of most 8-foot bed trucks, all aluminum. Give you a quick overview and then we'll jump into some of the details. We build these out in the South Portland, Oregon area, the West Coast. We ship these nationwide, got a bunch all over the US. So you're interested in something like this, I'll have all my information down below. We're actually located in a little town called Oregon City. It is actually the last stop of the Oregon Trail for any of you history buffs. Let's jump into the pressure washer here. We'll start here. So this is an 8-gallon a minute, 3,500 PSI gear drive machine. And this is a custom machine. You don't typically see these being sold at stores. These are all spec'd out for us, 100% custom. Some of the things that we want on our pressure washers is an actual authentic Honda exhaust. Got the gear drive unit. So this looks like a direct drive, but it's not. So you got the gear reduction box back there. Then of course the general pump. These pumps are pretty much bulletproof. We love them. And then we're running a 1/2-inch whip line. So typically right here you'd see an unloader. We've relocated that and it is block mounted. If you can see that little block back there. And we're running the pulsar unloader. For anybody that's not familiar with the different styles of unloaders, there's a trap pressure one and then there's a flow sensitive. So we put the flow sensitive one on here. It just works a little bit better. When you pull the trigger of the gun, you don't have the abrupt jolt in your hands, and of course you don't have trapped pressure on the line. Makes it a lot more pleasurable to use when you're out in the field every day. Give you a closer look at the back here. So typically you would see like a K7. Those are the most common flow sensitive unloaders. This is an upgrade over that K7. So this is all 1/2-inch in and out instead of the regular 3/8. Of course, this is key start. There's an hour meter there right over by the key box. You can see we have it mounted on a heavy duty custom aluminum frame there, all 316 stainless hardware. We upgraded all of our hardware about a year ago. We was using still stainless, but now we're using the 316. Let's take a look at the back of the bed here. I really like this style. This is probably my absolute favorite 8-foot bed skid, electric reels, and then look at all this bed space. So it's pretty common that you're going to need to bring things out to a job, whether it be brushes or buckets or blowers, whatever it may be. I'm just not a huge fan of closing this area off and putting a bar back here. There's a lot of maintenance concerns with getting in and out of the skid. Kind of give you some of those reasons. Oil changes. If you ever have plumbing that fails, you need to get back in here. Of course, your pump's a little further back, your Softwash pump. All that stuff is easily accessible on this skid. And that's one of those things when we build these things, we want to think long-term on these and not just build something shiny and take your money and then on down the road, you're not able to use this thing efficiently. So like I said, slim aluminum fuel tank there. These are the heavy duty ones. It's not one of those thin, paper thin aluminum ones you normally see. We're using stainless steel plugs here. We got the rollover valve here, so that allows the tank to breathe. Then of course, if the fuel sloshes around, it's gonna push a ball up and not allow that tank to leak. A common thing that a lot of people do is they'll take one of these barbs, because these are $5 or $10. In lieu of using that little piece there is anywhere from $30 to $40, but it's really the right way to do it. You can see how we have the feed line back there going into a filter. So it pulls out of the buffer tank, goes through that 80 mesh stainless steel filter, and then into the pressure washer that keeps everything clean. That way you're not gonna get debris into the pressure washer. Let's look a little closer at the back of the pump here. We'll get into the mixer once we get around the other side. But this is the brand new Remco dual control smooth flow pump, 5.3. You can see our heavy duty weatherproof rocker switch there. All the wiring on this thing is 100% USA stuff. We're not using any of the cheap Chinese stuff. There is some good stuff that comes out of China, so don't get me wrong, but for the sake of this skid, we're trying to use everything that is USA as much as possible. Of course, we're using pure copper strand. A little unknown fact, when people, plumb up their stuff or wire up their stuff, there's a lot of filler materials in some of that cheaper wire and just doesn't conduct as well. All right, surface cleaner rack. This one is going to get a Whisper Wash 19-inch classic. Cool thing about this rack here, if we go down, there's actually a little hidden storage area. So if you want to put some extra garden hose in there, extra pressure hose, because we all know that pressure hoses can burst. Last thing you want to be is down on a job and not be able to complete it. So nice little storage area there. Stainless steel hinges. Of course, this is locking. So you got the locking stainless steel mechanism there. And then we put the keys here for a customer, make sure they don't get lost. Let's talk about this side. So this is the reel side. You got all 18-inch Titan electric reels. These are the ones with the stainless steel internals. And what I mean by that, this is the manifold. So this is where all the liquid flows through the reels. Then of course the swivel. On some reels, they actually use steel. If anybody is familiar with bleach and how it is a corrosive, it will tear those things up. So be careful if you're going to buy a reel that's not from us, or maybe this is something that you're going to attempt to build yourself and use this as a reference. Make sure you get the right stuff, because you're going to regret it further on down the road. So again, full frames aluminum, stainless steel manifold, stainless steel swivel. Titan sells 2 different versions, so make sure you get the right one. Obviously, if you get it from us, that's all we use. So again, electric, simply push the button. You can pull this out manually, and then of course push the button to reel it back in. If you look at the wiring here, let me show you. We're talking about wiring on the pump. Get a little closer. So this right here is our wire. This is a really nice USA grade, marine grade wiring. You can see that we're using a heat shrink, pure tinned copper lugs. Super important that every part of the wiring is dialed in. So this right here is Titan's wire. Nothing wrong with it, it's great stuff, it's all sealed up, but ours is a little bit thicker. So our wiring is really clean. If you look from a distance, you don't see any wires running. Everything is how it should be. They daisy chain into each other and then run into the box. I'll show you the wiring once we get onto the other side. But going back to this reel, you got 200 feet of Softwash hose here. This is the Soft Jet, 1/2 inch, 200 feet. Really nice stuff. It's really flexible, but it's really stout and sturdy if you're pulling it up and down ladders and roofs. This stuff's not gonna fall apart. Crimped ends, ST510 gun, all stainless steel nozzles here. Guy came into the shop a couple weeks ago, brought one of these to show us. One, he had the wrong tips, so it was messing with the 12-volt pump. And I did a video here on the channel if you guys are interested in seeing how to choose the right nozzles for your Softwash system. That video is up on the channel. But anyways, this was all plated steel. I think he bought it on Amazon. You gotta be super careful if you're gonna attempt something like this yourself. A lot of guys don't understand there is look-alike parts, but they are not quality. So if I used non-stainless steel manifold reels, and we use the plated steel, and we use cheap wiring, and all together we just put together a really budget skid, it would hit a price point, but you guys wouldn't be happy long term. So that's just not the way we do things here. We want to build a nice quality system that's going to work for you long term. The whole goal of us selling a skid to you guys, we want to sell you another one, maybe another one after that as your business grows. So if we sell you a skid and then it's nothing but issues, you're probably not going to want to buy from us again. So we have a great reputation. We want to maintain that. We want to make sure we're building something that is really nice and is going to last a long time. So this is the manual, or we call the deluxe downstream system. We're using aluminum plate. We just upgraded these mounts. Take a look at those mounts. Those are beefy, all aluminum. Again, 316 stainless steel. But this allows you to pull bleach into the pressure line with a low pressure nozzle. Cool way we set this up is we have a quick connect. Let me see if I can show you here on the back side here. So you can run it through your downstream injector bypass system, or run it over here and completely bypass the bypass. So a lot of different ways you can run this. And one thing to mention over there on the back of the pressure washer, that is also on a stainless steel quick connect. So if you wanted to run it straight out of the pressure washer, you can do that as well. So a lot of different options here. We don't build it just one way, because we know that you guys are going to kind of find your sweet spot, the way you like to operate. So we want to build something that's going to fit however you want to run this. Moving down to the next reel, again, these are all full frame aluminum, stainless steel internal, stainless steel swivels. We got 200 feet of fierce jet hose on here. This isn't the cheap stuff. This isn't the wrapped gray non-marking, that budget hose that most people use. This is really nice, smooth jacket. You can see that there's no wrapping on this. We like this hose a lot. We got hundreds of these out in the field. the way that it's wrapped, you can't see the writing on it, but I'll give you the specs. Basically, this stuff is rated for hot water, 310 degrees. It has a working pressure rating of 4250, and then of course a burst rating of over 10,000 psi. So again, really good stuff. We're using stainless steel quick connects on here. So right there, right there. Of course, this is quick connect, so if you want to pull off your ball valve swivel, again, this is a nice swiveling. It's going to move at the end of the gun instead of twisting up the hose. You can do that as well. You can also ball valve rinse with these, so a lot of different uses for this. But the main purpose of this ball valve swivel is so you can shut off your pressure without having to turn off your machine. And if you want to switch guns or switch to a surface cleaner, you can simply do that at the end of the hose without having to, turn off your machine. Going to the next reel here, we have 100 feet of Flexzilla 3/4 hose. So really nice stuff. We see this stuff being used sometimes for Softwash. And I have some hose over at our bleach pump back here. I kid you not, it's back there going into the bucket. That stuff's probably pumped about, I don't want to overestimate it, but probably 50,000 gallons. We pump bleach every day. And it holds up if you're just taking it, keeping it at ground level. But when you start pulling this stuff up and down roofs, up and down ladders, it's really nice, flexible stuff. It works for that type of application, but not necessarily a great hose to be used for Softwash. Completely bleach resistant, but again, pulling it up and down shingles and pulling it across landscape, it's just not a good hose for Softwash, and that's why we use that soft jet stuff on there. So 100 feet here. Reason why we only do 100 is you want to have the shortest run of hose possible. Most houses, when you hook up curbside, is going to have a water faucet either on the front of the house or in the garage. The more hose you add, the less your water flow is. So we're trying to fill these buffer tanks and keep these tanks full so the machine can use all the water it can get. Again, that's why we run it like that. We run several hundred feet of hose in certain projects, but generally you want to run the least amount of garden hose possible. Let's take a look over here at the swivel. We have a really nice 1/2 inch to 3/4 barb here. Another thing to mention, all of our clamps here are full stainless. You can get the ones at Home Depot if you have one of those in your area. Problem with just ordering general hose clamps is the band and everything is stainless, but the screw is zinc. So ours are 100% stainless. That goes into a crush-proof hose and then goes into the Hudson float valve assembly inside the tank. Let me see if I can give you a closer look at this. Basically, the water fills in, and then as soon as it gets up to the bottom of that float valve, it pushes up and stops the water flow, so you don't ever have to worry about your tanks overflowing. And it goes into a really nice bulkhead system there. All of our plumbing is top of the line. We're using a Curitech on most of our hoses. I don't think we have anything else that's not Curitech, but yeah, really nice plumbing. Got the stainless steel caps on the reels where we need to have them. And then this little system here, this is a downstream rinse valve. So your downstream injector is going to pull bleach out of the bleach tank. What we've done here is when you're all done, you can turn this valve down to water. And we've actually plumbed in another drop stick there where you can actually pull fresh water through your downstream injector. That helps it last a little bit longer. So when you're not using it, you'll be in this setting. Of course, when you're downstreaming, you'll be pulling out of the bleach tank. So nice little system. We don't see these a whole lot on downstream setups, but it will prolong your injector. Injectors are one of those things that's like a consumable. You want to have an extra one on the truck just in case that thing jams up, and then you can fix it once you get back to the shop. So that'll keep you going. Here's a look at the back of the skid. You can take a look at, we often get asked if we can match somebody else's price on a skid. Let me show you this here. This stuff is thick. We're using 1/4 inch aluminum on the construction. It's going to be hard to match something that's made out of 1/8 inch versus our 1/4 inch. So these things are built like a tank. That's kind of where the name comes from, workhorse. If you look at the bracing here, everything is built really nice. The welds are nice penetrating welds. So anybody that is a welder or welder buff, you want to make sure that your welds don't just look pretty. A lot of people look at surface level of the welds, but they also have to be penetrating. So right here, obviously a real nice penetrating weld, just like the rest of the welds on this skid. If you look down here, we got that same plate, but we're using a 1/4 inch 45 in here as well. So you'll see that all around the skid. There's a lot of weight on these shelves, and last thing we want is one of these things to break on somebody. Our skids do carry a lifetime warranty. So if we're shipping one of these to you and you happen to have a weld come undone or break, we've never seen something like that happen yet, but there's always first time for everything. We will cover that. Of course, if you're local, bring it back into our shop, we'll make sure you're taken care of. So we stand by everything that we build. Again, we're trying to build the best possible skid out there, the strongest skid, the most efficient skid, best layout, all those things. Talk about some of the plumbing here. So these hoses are going into the Softwash system. See if I can pull off one of these caps here and show you. It's always fun to show people kind of under the hood type of stuff. If you look in there, we have a slotted PVC filter. Of course, that PVC sleeve that keeps that filter down at the bottom of the tank. One unique way, or one of the things that we do that's unique, is we're running our hoses through these special seals all the way down through the tank. So we call it a through tank plumbing system. And what that does is that eliminates, I see guys run bulkheads here, and they have the hose running into a fitting, and then there's a drop stick that's connected underneath that bulkhead fitting. So you have all these fittings, and bleach, again, is a corrosive. It will tear all that stuff up. You're going to get leaks. It's just one less thing to have to worry about in the field there. So you can see we have everything running really nice. We run the shortest lines possible. That's why we lay these things out the way we do. The mixer is right there close to the tanks. You can see coming out of the mixer, it just runs right down to the pump there. We've spent a lot of time. I know this thing is kind of simple the way we have it set up, but it works. Let's take a look inside the box. This is our EPW box. We got the House Softwash gun here. You got the interstate battery. We're not using any cheap batteries. One of the unique things that we do with our skids is this is a 6-gauge wire. We actually ground our wire to the skid. So if you ever wanted to hook up something power-wise like lights or anything like that, your whole skid is a ground. Give you a closer look here so you can see all that. Right here, that's where the fuse is. We're running Bussmann fuses. Again, that is another USA made wiring piece there, that fusible link there. And you can see how the wire just runs really nice, again, through another rubber seal there. And then of course, we have our reels on a circuit breaker. Let me show you this here. See that? It says made in USA. These aren't those cheap $20 ones on Amazon. We're using really nice stuff. If you look at the way that this heat shrink is, this is a 3M heat shrink. It's not, again, the cheap Amazon stuff. If you look, you can see that it actually glues right there. You can see where it's shiny. So not only does it shrink, but it glues. That's going to keep that tight. This will be one less thing that you're going to have to worry about having go down, or a wire lug falls off or something like that. We have our full maintenance guide here. And then of course we have a Softwash guide there inside the box. This is a nice locking box. If you look at this, you can feel, or at least here, I don't know if it comes through in the video, but this is really nice. If you look at the thickness on this, there's other boxes like these, but that are a lot thinner. They're cheaper. Again, that's where some of the cost comes. You know, we could have built a budget skid and got the price way down, but that's not really our business model. We want to build something that I would want to use out in the field. So that's why we build these, again, the way we do. 7-gallon soap tank. We got a lot of guys ask, why don't we use the seals here? We haven't found a good enough seal that it is that small. So we undersized that, drill that through. We're running the hose through just like we do with the Softwash plumbing. And if you look in there, there's a filter there at the end of that stick. If you're using our soap, we have apple suds, lemon suds that work really well, bleach stable, concentrated. So you can put 1 gallon of our soap in here and fill the rest up with water, and you're usually pretty good for a nice Softwash soap. Let's go down to the mixer. So this is our ProMixer XL. We've done a lot of things different than kind of how some of the other people do it. This right here is a 3/4 valve. This is the check valve that stops the liquid from flowing backwards and going into other tanks that you don't want it to go. Obviously you don't want to mix your soap, your bleach, and your water, or have diluted down bleach because you had a check valve issue or didn't have a check valve at all. So we put check valves in here. We got them on the water, the soap, then of course the bleach there. These are the upgraded ones. So these are the ones with the Hastelloy springs. Anybody that's familiar with metals understands that that's a upgraded material over stainless. We love stainless, but if there's a better item that we can use in this system, we're going to use it. So again, we've oversized this 3/4, and then of course we got the 3/4 mixing valve there, 1/2 inch on the soap. Again, that's pulling out of a 1/4 inch line, so that's already oversized. And then of course another 3/4 check valve and mixing valve there at the bottom. Another cool thing on our mixers here, we put these rinse valves on here. So basically what this valve does is one hose goes to the water tank, one goes to the bleach, and then the outlet of that goes into the bleach line there. So if you want to rinse out your system, turn it to water. So we have the water sticker back there, and then turn it up, pointed to chem, and then you're on chem. What that does is allows you to completely rinse this full system out. Obviously the soap would just go off. It's a neutral, non-corrosive. So you're flowing water, and you're completely rinsing this thing out. If you left 12.5 sodium hypochlorite bleach in that leg of the mixer, it's going to really corrode up all those pieces really fast. So it's just one of those little things that we add in to try to prolong this and eliminate some of the shorter issues, or issues that might come up sooner than what you're expecting. So again, that fully rinses that out. Really nice hose on here. Again, Curitech clamps. The back here, you can see another look at the Softwash system. This is another cool thing we just added. We didn't even tell our customer, but we're running hoses through one of these. That is a brand new thing that we just started using in the shop. This is the first skid with one of those. Just hides some of the hoses and looks a lot better, a lot cleaner. All right, we're back to the pressure washer. There's a couple things I didn't cover. I'll jump on those real quick, and then I know I've kept you for a long time on this video, but there's so much stuff to cover here. I don't want to shoot a video and not cover everything that we're doing on these things. So you got the drain valve here, that's 1 inch. You're able to rinse out your hands. Perhaps you get bleach in your eyes, something like that. You can use that valve for a lot of different purposes. The main thing is to empty the water out after a job. So if you have a lighter truck, you don't have to carry all that extra weight between jobs. Simply dump it out. That is a 1 inch, so it's going to drain really fast. And then down here on the bottom, I briefly mentioned the tanks. So these are 100-gallon slim tanks. They fit really nice in there. So these two here are tied together. Then of course you have a large capacity for bleach. Most people are running like 50-gallon bleach tanks. We're running 100. So this is going to be able to do some of those bigger jobs. But what we've done down here is we've tied these together, and we're using obviously really nice stuff, all banjo fittings. Those are really nice clamps coming out of the UK, full stainless, and they clamp really nice. You don't typically get leaks with these types of clamps. Problem is they're kind of expensive. They're like 10 bucks a piece, but again, if we find something that works better than what's typical out there, that's what we're gonna use. Cool thing with tying those tanks together, when you're filling them with water, they fill together, but then one will pull out of one tank and then the water will fill to the other, so you don't have that violent water turbulence as you're filling or pulling with the pressure washer. It also eliminates sloshing, so when you're driving, instead of having just a 200-gallon tank that the water would slosh around, this kind of baffles that. So these are 12-inch. Really nice way to plumb it. There's a lot of little details that go into building these things. Some of the technical things, the reason why we do certain things that we do, it all comes out to a really nice, well-functioning system. Again, I'm going to put my information down below in the comments, or not the comments, probably the description. If you guys are interested in something like this, give us a call. We have a skid form on our website called Build My Skid. That's the easiest way. Myself or Christina, my wife, will jump on a call with you guys and figure out what your needs are for your business and get one of these built for you. Have a great day.